Emily, I want a divorce. While I was doing the dishes, my husband John suddenly said, Emily, I want a divorce. I was shocked. But why? I asked. John replied, I'm about to inherit $3 million. That's a lot of money, but it's mine. I don't want to share it with you. What does that have to do with a divorce? I questioned. He continued, the truth is, I only stayed with you because of money. Your salary isn't much, but it was better than nothing. I forced myself to stay in this marriage, but now, with $3 million, I won't need you anymore. I want to live a comfortable life alone, so let's part ways. Fine, I said, if you're so rich now, sell the house to cover the mortgage too. John looked surprised that I agreed so easily. Truthfully, I felt relieved. This could be the end of a miserable life. I grabbed some papers and slammed them onto the table. Our marriage. My name is Emily. I'm a preschool teacher and I love children. I met John, who is 2 years older than me, through a friend, and we've been married for almost 8 years. When we first got married, we dreamed of a happy future. We even bought a house, hoping to have children soon, but everything changed. John became obsessed with money. Before marriage, he admired my job, but later, he started saying things like, all you do is play with kids. I'm working so hard, and you have it easy. You're basically freeloading. Those cruel words became his favorite insult. Being a daycare teacher isn't easy. Every child is unique, and we are responsible for their safety and care. But John ignored my feelings. I felt frustrated and unappreciated. We never had children, and that was his decision too. He'd say, if you have time to make babies, you should work more. Don't even think about quitting your job. We have a mortgage to pay. John was older and earned more than me, but the difference wasn't huge, only a few $1,000s. Still, he acted like he was far superior. His constant criticism hurt me deeply, and I often cried in secret. Lately, John had started saying he wanted to be alone. He told me, I could easily live alone, but I've been stuck with you out of necessity. Don't forget that. Now that he was getting his millions, it was clear he didn't need me anymore, but deep down, I knew I didn't need him either. Why does he always look down on me? Maybe it was because John started working more overtime. He'd often say, it's because you're not working hard enough that I have to do overtime just to make ends meet. How about being a little grateful? But I knew better. Despite all his overtime, his salary wasn't really increasing. I carefully managed our finances, and the numbers didn't change much. Maybe the truth bothered him because one day, he got angrier than I had ever seen him. Who do you think is keeping this lifestyle going? If I wanted to, I could leave you easily. Be prepared, he said, sounding almost like he was threatening me. John wasn't like this before we got married. Since then, we'd barely spoken as a couple. Thanksgiving visit. Then something happened during Thanksgiving that made things even worse. We were visiting John's parents when his mother served tea and casually asked, you've been married for 8 years, right? Emily, didn't you say you wanted kids? Considering your age, have you two decided how many children you want? I thought this was the perfect chance to finally talk about it, but before I could answer, John spoke up. Mom, we're not having kids. Emily and I decided that together. His mother looked surprised. Oh, is that so? John continued, yeah, Emily says she absolutely hates taking care of kids, whether it's at work or at home. I was stunned. Wait, what? That's not true. John interrupted, Mom, let's not bring it up. It stresses Emily out. His mother smiled politely and said, well, if that's what you've both decided, that's okay. It's hard work raising children anyway. Then she left the room, and I couldn't say another word. The car ride home. On the way home, I confronted John. Why would you lie like that? I love children and want to have them. You're the one who doesn't want kids. John snapped back. The truth is, we can't afford to have a child because you don't work full-time. Start talking when you earn as much as I do. I thought preschool teachers made more money. You're a disappointment. That's not fair, I said, hurt by his words. John continued coldly, from the beginning, I never wanted kids. I don't like children. They're just a financial burden, and I'd rather spend that money on myself. His words cut me deeply. It was like I was seeing a stranger, someone who no longer cared about me or the life we once planned together. John's cruel words and my decision. John just laughed when I expressed my shock. You should never mix personal matters with work, he said. I knew that, of course, but I couldn't stop thinking about my problems. At work, the children seemed to notice something was off. One day, A little girl named Amy from my class approached me. "Miss Emily, what's wrong? You don't seem as cheerful today," she said. I smiled and patted her head. "I'm fine, Amy, don't worry about me." Amy was a quiet, kind girl, mature beyond her years. I could tell she was being raised well, but she looked at me sadly. "You're not fine. You're usually much happier. I don't want to see you like this." Hearing that broke my heart. I felt awful for worrying her. "Maybe my daddy can help," she suddenly said. "He's like a superhero and helps lots of people. He's picking me up tomorrow, so I'll tell him." Amy's mother usually picked her up, but this time her father was coming because her mother was busy. I told her I was okay, but she insisted on introducing me. Meeting Amy's father. The next day, Amy's father came to pick her up. I was nervous because I hadn't spoken to him since the entrance ceremony. "Thank you for taking care of Amy. I'm her father," he said kindly. "She's told me a lot about you. I really appreciate that she enjoys preschool so much." "Oh, not at all," I replied. "We're the ones who are grateful. Amy is such a kind girl." He was polite and gentle, but I didn't feel comfortable talking about my personal problems. They were too embarrassing to share. Amy piped up, "Dad, Miss Emily is worried about something. You need to help her." Her father looked at me thoughtfully. "Thank you, Amy," he said before turning to me. "I understand how hard it can be to share personal problems, even with close friends, but my daughter is really worried about you. If something's wrong, please let me help." Surprised, I hesitated, then he handed me a business card. Looking at his title, I realized he was someone important. That moment, my fate shifted. That's when I decided I wouldn't sit back anymore. I would take revenge on John. John's divorce demand. While I was planning my next move, John came home early one evening. It had been a long time since we'd had dinner together. As I washed the dishes afterward, John suddenly spoke. "Hey, how about we get a divorce?" I froze, my hand stopping mid-wash. He grinned smugly, clearly thinking I was caught off guard. "You might not like it, but my mind's made up," he said. "Why?" I asked calmly. "A huge sum of money is coming in. Do you want to know how much?" $3 million, he said proudly. I didn't say anything, but he kept talking. "I've only stayed with you for the money, compared to my future millions. Your income is nothing, but it was better than nothing. Now I don't need you anymore, so let's split up quickly. I'm sure you've had enough of being a leech." His words were cruel. I wanted to say so much, but instead, I asked, "Where did all that money come from?" "That's none of your business. We're strangers now," he said coldly. John's arrogance lit a fire inside me. He had no idea what I was planning, and for the first time, I felt like I had the upper hand. "The divorce and my plan. I understand. Let's separate then," I replied calmly. John seemed surprised by how quickly I agreed. "By the way," he added smugly, "I don't plan to live in this small house anymore. I have $3 million now, so I'm thinking of buying a mansion. I'll sell this house too." "That's fine. I'll look for an apartment. You can pay off the mortgage, right?" I said. "Yeah, I'll pay it off. I guess that's natural, our positions are different now." "Thanks, that would help a lot." I decided to take action immediately. John watched me curiously as I started packing and searching for an apartment. Once everything was settled, I asked John to meet me again. "The agreement. I'll leave the mortgage payments to you, John," I said firmly. To avoid any future arguments, I prepared a written agreement. "Please sign it." "Fine, as long as you don't complain later," he grumbled, as usual. While looking through the agreement, John suddenly froze. "Hey, what's this alimony section? Why should I pay? If anything, Emily, you should be paying me since you don't work full-time." "You're so naive, John," I replied calmly, pulling out some documents. John's face turned pale when he saw what I had. "Thanks for all the overtime you've been doing, John. I appreciate your hard work. You must really enjoy your job and spending time with your mistress." I placed a photo in front of him. It showed John and a woman looking very close, arm in arm. "She's just a junior colleague. It just looks that way. Is this your attempt to frame me?" "You're still denying it?" I said, sliding over another photo. This one showed John and the same woman entering a hotel together. "This must be fake. Don't you know how advanced photo editing is these days? You really think you can trick me with this?" John lashed out stubbornly. I let out a deep sigh. I was ready for this, I said. Just then, the doorbell rang. John looked nervous as I answered the door and returned with my attorney. "The attorney and the truth." "John, Meet my attorney, I said as they entered the room. These photos were provided by a private detective agency. There's no way they're fake. If you're still doubtful, we can call them right now. Pleasure to meet you, my attorney said confidently. I'm here to represent Emily. We'll be handling the divorce proceedings through me from now on. If you have questions about the evidence, I'll be happy to answer. John's smug confidence shattered. He started to panic. The truth finally came out. John hadn't been working overtime at all. The private detective agency discovered that he was leaving work on time and spending his nights with his mistress. That's why his salary hadn't increased. He was lying about working late. Suddenly, everything made sense. When John said he wanted to be alone, it was because he wanted to spend time with her. Amy's father and my revenge. The lawyer I hired turned out to be exceptional. I had Amy to thank for that. Her superhero dad was real after all. Amy's father, as it turned out, was the CEO of a well-known company. When he heard about my situation, he immediately introduced me to a private detective agency and a top lawyer. At first, I thought it was too much, but the more I learned about John's behavior, the angrier I became. He had betrayed me completely, and I decided to go all out. John had no idea who he was dealing with. My revenge was just beginning. The final chapter. I understand. Let's separate then. At first, John seemed stunned by how calmly I agreed, but his arrogance didn't stop. By the way, he smirked, I don't need this small house anymore. I have $3 million now. I'm moving to a mansion and selling this place. That's fine. I'll look for an apartment. You'll pay off the mortgage, right? Yeah, he replied, too proud for his own good. And so, I packed up and left, prepared to begin a new chapter of my life. A shocking return. Months later, just as I was settling into my new apartment and feeling free of stress, John appeared uninvited at my door. Please, Emily, hear me out, he shouted desperately. Reluctantly, I let him in. What do you want? I told you, I don't want anything to do with you. John's disgusting smirk made me sick as he glanced around my apartment. This place isn't bad. I could make one of these rooms mine, right? What are you talking about? I scoffed. We're strangers now. You can't just show up here. Don't be so cold, Emily. I realized I need you. Let's start over. I looked at him incredulously. Weren't you living in a mansion with your mistress? It was a mistake, John stammered, now on the verge of tears. The truth is, I thought I won $3 million in the lottery, but I misread the numbers. I quit my job, insulted my boss, and my mistress left me as soon as she found out I didn't have the money. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This man, jobless, penniless, and abandoned, now expected me to save him. I told you, I don't know anything about that. If you stay here any longer, I'll take action, I said firmly. Do you remember the agreement you signed during the divorce? If you violate it, I can claim 5 times the alimony. John's face turned pale. In a fit of anger, he raised his hand, but I stared him down. If you touch me, I'll call the police. This building has security cameras, your face will be recorded. John's bravado collapsed. He fled, tripping and tumbling down the stairs on his way out. I didn't even check. I simply closed the door behind him. The aftermath. A few weeks later, I heard from my former in-laws, who came to apologize. Apparently, John fractured his leg during his escape and was hospitalized for 2 months. Without a job, his financial troubles snowballed. The mortgage, alimony payments, and medical expenses piled up, leaving him in utter ruin. He even tried begging his old boss for his job back, but having quit so rudely, they refused to take him back. My in-laws were forced to step in and pay for some of his debts, but even they were exasperated with him. He really brought this on himself, they admitted. A new beginning. With the chapter of John firmly behind me, I visited Amy's home to share the good news. I'm so glad everything worked out for you, Amy's father said warmly. It's wonderful to see you smiling again. Thank you, I replied, overwhelmed with gratitude. I don't know how to thank you enough. Amy beamed. See, Miss Emily, I told you my dad's a superhero. She really was my little life changer. I realized then just how much I loved being a preschool teacher. My work, my encounters, and my experiences had shaped who I am today. My husband may have looked down on me, but I now stand tall,